Hello, welcome to the Lately in PHP podcast. This is episode 67, and as always, I have here with me Arthur Sossins. Hello, Arthur.
Hello.
So, without further ado, we are going to start from this episode to talk about uh, first a summary of the topics that we are planning to cover because some people complain that there are no more um, the transcripts, so they would spend a lot of time to find the topics that they are interested. So we are going to start just to cover the topics very briefly, and then we move on into a more detailed discussion. So let me just share the screen here. Probably this is too small, but today we are going to start as usual by talking about the latest releases of PHP 5.6 and the first update to PHP 7.0. I think by now there is already a new PHP 5.5 version, but it was released recently. I did not look into it. Anyway, the next topic we'll cover is about a proposal that has been discussed lately, which would allow null to be also accepted as an alternative to some type that is defined in type hinting for function parameters and return values. Then we comment about the timeline that is being proposed for PHP 5. PHP 5 and the support will end sometime this year, but there is a proposal to extend it more towards the end of the year. Then we have a new discussion, something that is not really about code, although it has code in the name, which is to adopt a code of conduct. I'm not sure what motivated this proposal, but this proposal is to address behavior of developers that is not appropriate. Then we will talk briefly about a proposal to make a libsodium, which is a cryptography library, part of the core in PHP 7.1. Then we'll talk about exceptions, basically the possibility to have multiple catch statements to handle an exception, handle exceptions of different types. Then finally, we will talk about an alternative syntax for the list statement, which allows to process multiple values that are extracted from an array, which eventually could be returned from a function. So let's start from the beginning. For some reason, I zoomed my Hangout window, and now it is pretty large. I was zooming in the wrong window. So okay, let's start by the latest PHP versions. Here we already can see the latest PHP 5.6 version, which basically addresses many bugs. Personally, I did not find any bug that probably affects many people, but as usual, you should always pay attention to these releases if you are using PHP 5.6 in this case. And then there was also um, first revision of PHP 7.0, which fixes a reasonable set of bugs. I don't know if there are any security fixes here that would be worth mentioning. But talking about security fixes, there was already another PHP 5.5 release that addresses some security issues, because PHP 5.5 is already in issues, security fixes mode. And yeah, it is listed here. It was in January 7 that it was released. So if you are using PHP 5.5, you should take a look and eventually upgrade if any of these bugs could be affecting your PHP code. So moving on to the next topic, which is about upcoming PHP features. There was a proposal many months ago, early in this year, to support multiple types for type hinting, not just one type for function parameters.
Can you share a screen?
I thought I was sharing it. So this proposal was brought back again because it was never implemented, because there was a request to implement type hinting that would allow null as an alternative to any other type that could be specified for type hinting in parameters and function. Return values. And I think this is interesting because sometimes you do not want to return or pass a specific value, and null is often a good alternative in that case. So this proposal to allow multiple types in type hinting would address this proposal.
Yeah, that actually reminds me one of the previous topics that we have, that void function cannot return null. That was an interesting one. And so yeah, this is similar. I think it probably can go from Java. I think that you can return a string, which is like an object in Java, but it can also be null. So in some cases you don't know value or there is a problem and stuff, you just return null. So I think it's something similar here, that you want to return either a specific type or null if something happened, if there was an error. So
well, actually, in this case, I was looking here. In this case, returning null is not the same as a void function. A void function should not return anything.
Yes.
So this proposal would address all the cases, because it would allow multiple types, and you can think of null as a special type that is of no type at all, but could be returned or passed as parameter. Okay. Anyway, this proposal is still being discussed. There is no.
At least that usage with the null makes a little more sense to me than simply offering two different types.
I think they pointed to this proposal because it would satisfy the different requests to extend this type hinting functionality of PHP 7. So, as I was saying, it was not yet proposed for voting, but I expect this probably will pass because it will address the needs of many people that are using type hinting. Sooner or later, you will need to deal with the null and the other special cases, probably when you can return different types of values. So moving on, another discussion that is actually being already voted is about the date for the end of support of all PHP 5 versions. So they initially planned it for August 28th of 2016.
Yeah.
Would be the end of active support for PHP 5.6. And then it would have another year of additional support for just for security fixes. But now they are proposing to have to extend it to the end of 2016. It's just a few months, but it may be interesting for those that have not yet migrated to PHP 7 and may be concerned with it. Other than that, they are also voting whether they should consider 1 year of support for security fixes or 2 years. So these are the things that are being discussed now. The voting will end on January 13. So the voting is still in progress. So far, you can see that most people are agreeing with the extending support, just a few months extra, and then the voting for 1 or 2 years is practically tied for the security fixes. Okay, let's wait and see what they decide. Anyway, this is just planning ahead for the future.
Yeah, but imagine that would happen, that at some point, at least after a year, you would need to start thinking about switching to PHP 7 because there would be no security support anymore. Isn't it dreadful?
Well, I don't know. I think people that
You're still seeing your
are
Spring, by the way.
considering to upgrade sometime sooner or later.
Yeah, but
I think they should already start looking into things, but 1 year is perfectly reasonable.
But those upgrades are not just simple PHP upgrade that probably need to check and retest the code and stuff like that, because some things could be backwards incompatible.
Yes, certainly there will be issues that people will need to deal with time. It's not something.
By the way, do we have a list of backwards incompatibilities?
I think there is a page, like a migration notes or something.
Maybe you should do an article on that too.
Yeah.
When you will start migrating it yourself.
I don't know. I have other priorities. I cannot make any promises. They always have. Yeah, actually, I found a page migrating from PHP 5.6 to 7.0. Probably this list is already complete, so if people read this will be enough. I don't know, maybe somebody figures that this is not enough and tells about other surprises. And in that case, it would be worth writing an article on that topic. Anyway, this has multiple pages telling about incompatible changes and deprecated features, which you also should pay attention because sooner or later those deprecated features will be discontinued. So, given that, let's move on to another topic, which is about adopting a code of conduct, which has nothing to do with code. I mean, programming code.
Yeah, it's more like a community terms.
Well, basically, this is a recent proposal that proposes some action in case of somebody does not behave. Somebody in this case would be some developer. I mean, some developer that has an account in PHP.net, because obviously the core PHP developers cannot judge or control any other developer that has no relation with the PHP.net project. So at least here are some unacceptable behavior examples, like use of sexualized language or imagery, personal text, trolling or insulting derogatory comments, public or private harassment, publishing other private information such as physical or electronic addresses without explicit permission, other unethical or unprofessional conduct. Well, this sounds reasonable. I just have no idea why now they are concerned with this. Maybe I'm missing something. Probably this is being discussed in the internals mailing list, but I don't think I noticed anything. I suspect this is probably the usual uh, inflammatory discussions in Reddit or maybe in Twitter, where people, when they disagree, almost depart to almost or sometimes actually depart to personal insult and other unacceptable behavior, like it is mentioned here. So, well, this is my guess because I have not heard any special incident that happened recently, but maybe I'm missing something here.
Yeah, well, yeah, as you said, that document overall makes sense for a community to have to list things that are unacceptable, to define a process of reporting incidents, to define a process of how a decision will be made if this is an incident and should anyone be involved, and even listing potential actions like they say, revert or edit existing commits, reject pull requests. Interesting part that it's all related to code editing more than community posting. Revert, reject wiki edits, or issue temporary ban no more than 7 days. But well, there have been lots of major changes, like releasing PHP 7, then acquired by some company. Don't remember the name now, and
Yeah.
probably PHP got lots of attention, and of course it's also attracting trolls and others. So I think
Yeah.
that's probably, if previously they could reject or edit your comments and stuff like that, then some would put like tell them why are you doing that, you are not allowed to do that and stuff like that. But now there is a specific document to which you agree and to which you need to abide with, and so
Yeah, well, I would say that the PHP community survived now, but well, maybe you have a point. Now that Zend was acquired by a larger company, maybe they are concerned with the image that the PHP community as a whole is passing to the corporate market. I don't know. Um, Well, probably this is just a formalization of certain penalties that should always have existed,
Sure.
and other than that, I'm not aware of any major issues that justify this. So, given this, we are going to move on to the next topic, which I suppose it's quite brief. It is about libsodium. This is a proposal by Scott Arsiszewski. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. And the idea is to make libsodium a core extension. This is a library to implement cryptography functionality. And coincidentally or not, Scott has actually submitted a package to PHP classes that uses this libsodium extension. So this is interesting. I'm not a security expert, but I suppose this libsodium is better than mcrypt, which is something that has been in use in the PHP community for quite a while, many years, and but it seems that it has not been maintained for years. So they are concerned that somebody finds some vulnerability and there is no maintainer to maintain that library. So the idea is to encourage people to migrate to these newer libraries that are being maintained and are useful for all sorts of cryptography functionality.
Well, does PHP require another new default cryptography library? Then yeah, probably answer yes. Is the libsodium the right answer for it? Well, that I don't know. We need to research, but yeah,
Yeah.
there could be some. And I remember we had a talk about the PCO being in PHP 7.1. I
Yeah.
think that it would solve that problem, but it should be based on some kind of library too.
Yes, actually, the proposal is from the same developer, and because he is an expert in security, and I think the idea is to make it more open for multiple solutions. So, for some reason you cannot use libsodium, you could switch to some other library, and for those. If for some reason libsodium stops being supported, at least you will not be stuck. I think that's the idea of having these abstractions, like PDO for database. Although I think that most active libraries never, most active databases never stop being supported. Um, Okay, but this is just to mention that there is this proposal, but this proposal is probably for PHP 7.1, and um, I, I think I read somewhere that the idea is to release PHP 7.1 about 1 year after PHP 7.0 was released. So it would be like more towards the end of the year, December. Okay, so moving on to another topic. There is a proposal. Actually, this proposal is an RFC, but it was submitted in a GitHub page just to for editing purposes. So it was not yet, well, until I noticed it. It was not submitted to the PHP.NET RFC repository. actually the wiki. So this proposal is to support multiple catch statements on try catch constructs.
I wonder if the previous RFC that we discussed about the union would also fix
Yeah.
this issue.
Yes, because as you may see here, this is the union. But another alternative would be to have multiple catch statements, because you could have different code for handling the exception. It's not just
Okay.
so these are different types of multiple exceptions. One that throws the same exception. Actually, multiple exceptions. I don't know if you can call exception classes, because in practice exceptions that are thrown are types which act like classes. But it would also contemplate the possibility to have the multiple different types of code to handle different groups of exceptions.
Yeah, multiple catches makes more sense.
Yeah, and since this does not present any backwards incompatible changes, I think this proposal is probably easy to pass. I've never had a situation that I needed this, but I understand that many people that use many exceptions in their code probably would find it useful. Okay, moving on now to one last proposal that is being discussed. This is basically more like make the developers type less code. I'm going to zoom. Okay. So the list statement would extract multiple values from arrays, or could be functions that return arrays, and would assign to a list of variables. So for some reason, the proponent was not happy with this syntax, so he preferred the bracket syntax. I don't know if this is a good idea, because it probably could make this be confused with one array. Nowadays, arrays in PHP can be defined with square brackets. Anyway, this would be a left hand assignment operator. So I don't know if the parser of PHP would handle this well. Personally, I don't see much need for this, because it's not typing list that is going to kill your fingers. But I think this proposal probably makes sense, given that many other proposers, like the one that turned arrays into simple square brackets.
Yeah, we can go in even further and say why do we need square brackets then? Why just list variables and assign them?
Yes, make it more cryptic. and why not using Morse code to define your code? It will be simpler. You only have beeps and beeps, beeps, beeps. I don't know if this is going to pass, because it can make it confusing. This syntax for arrays is very different. Like of this, it doesn't cause so much confusion, even because it is the same syntax used, for instance, in JavaScript.
Yeah.
Now, if you use this syntax, somebody reading the code may think this is an array declaration when it's just a list of variables to be assigned.
It's like copying an array.
Yeah, an array copying to another array, but the result is not an array. It's just a list of variables. Well, okay. Well, with this, we practically ended this podcast. We didn't have many topics to cover, but it's normal. This is the beginning of the year. There was like a marathon to release PHP 7 by the end of 2015, and now many developers are like resting. They are not so excited to bring new features to PHP, but this probably will warm up during this year as PHP 7.1 needs to be planned. So with this, on my behalf, that is all for now. Bye.
Bye.